You're listening to the podcast between doctors and friends. Here's to another episode. I'm just going to go straight right into it. Dr. Foz, how was your week?
Average. Of which,
yeah,
I'm
average.
grateful for that. Yeah.
Dr. Ray, how was your week?
Probably one of the more stressful weeks I've had in my life. So we had some personal health issues in the family, and my two doctor partners were both on vacation. So I was the only doctor in the office while trying to manage this health crisis. So it was a tough week for me. Very tough week.
Oh, wow. Is that allowed to have the two doctors out at the same time?
Well, it depends on what type of organization you work for. So I'm in private practice, so we have a lot of autonomy and flexibility, so they can schedule their vacations when they want to schedule them. So it was a bit challenging. So I think maybe in the future, I do like to not have two doctors out and leave just one, but sometimes, weddings happen and spring breaks happen and things happen that people need to attend in their life. And so I think that, people are going to be kind of a little upset if I were to say, you can't go on a vacation now or take time off, and it's their sister's wedding, or they, plan this, epic, Africa trip and, or something. So it is a little hard to stop them, especially, in a private practice where you don't have to sort of get permission for it. I think in other organizations, other larger corporate run medicine, I believe the doctors have to submit, vacation time 6 months in advance to take time off. And so then they, regulate it the way that they do. But in private practice, one of the, biggest incentives and one of the biggest, pluses of being in private practice is you can manage your own schedule. You're in charge of when you work and when you don't work. So it would be a little bit hard to limit them from doing it.
That's true.
And private practice is underappreciated. Doctors can actually control some things.
And, it's why it's called an emergency, right? Because it's always when you least expect things to happen. And that's what happens.
Right. It would have been a stressful enough week just managing the whole office by myself.
Yeah.
But then added something else onto it, then it made it, even more stressful. So work was stressful, and then when I got home, it was stressful. And so there wasn't like time to breathe. If work is stressful, you go home, you kind of relax and you don't worry about it. Or if home is stressful, at least at work, you're kind of distracted, you don't think about it. But when both are stressful, it really does make it a very difficult situation to be in. So it should get better this week. I think the health issue is getting more controlled, and the other doctor should be back this week, so it should be less on my plate this week, hopefully.
Yeah. Wow. And, doctors are humans too. They have families, and you guys, when things happen at home with your families, it's a whole different curveball, right?
You'd be surprised at how that's not appreciated in a lot of situations, though. Last fall, I got sick, like really sick. And I actually even went into the office and saw my first patient and came out, was like, I can't do this. Like, I'm not going to make it. I'm going to end up throwing up on somebody's lap. That was how bad it was.
Oh, no.
And I have not called out sick since like 2007 or something like that. I mean, I just don't. I just power through and whatever. And so I was out I took the rest of that day off, and I was out the next day. The patients on my schedule had to be rescheduled. Mm-hmm. When I came back, like a couple weeks later, one of those rescheduled patients was on my schedule, and that person was really mad at me for not being available. Yeah, they like totally gave me the business. Like, I don't know what happened that you had to reschedule this appointment. And I said, well, ma'am, I was vomiting. So I was actually sick and I wasn't able to come into the office. And then they were sort of contrite after that. And I kind of gave her the business. I said, we have things that happen to us too. We also get sick. Our family and friends get sick. Our cars will have dead batteries or flat tires and stuff happens. So have a heart.
Yeah, that's true. But, speaking of cars, Honda cars are really great to replace the battery.
Are you taking sponsorship?
All right. Today's episode is sponsored by Honda Odyssey.
That's currently my current location is in a Honda Odyssey.
Turn on your camera.
I thought you were going to say Honda, what was it, CRV?
Yeah, the Honda CRV. We're all fans of Honda here.
I'm on a Honda Civic.
There you go. There you go.
Oh my God, we all drive Hondas now. That's
we do,
funny.
right?
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah. No Teslas and Mercedes or BMWs for these doctors, unfortunately.
What? You mean
Porsches?
You don't drive an expensive new model Mercedes and play golf all day every Wednesday and Friday afternoons that the public thinks that we do?
Well, speaking of cars, right? There's been complaints, and obviously, like, it's kind of obvious, but the Tesla, the EV vehicles, the Tesla emits a lot of EMF. Have you had patients come in like EMF? Like, how does that affect like pregnant women?
No, the answer is no.
I have not heard about it or affected anything.
Okay. So, these EVs have a lot of batteries underneath. And, I was reading a post on social media, but I knew about this earlier, that, how much EMF it emits. And this lady purchased one, and got rid of it within 2 months because she started feeling, headaches. And so she started to look into she was told to look at the EMF because it was a Tesla, and it was super high. So she got rid of it. It was just
There's a lot of psychosomatic stuff out there. I mean, I have a lot of patients who drive Teslas, and the only one that ever complained to me about that was because there was a problem with the autopilot. Stuff went south. So there wasn't. So don't put this fear in everybody's head.
Right. Well, because we're sponsored by Honda, and just kidding,
And
anyone
Del Taco.
And Del Taco. Anyone watch The Pit this week?
Right now, that was the most devastating line on TV right now, and it happened last night during The Pit. And it's not because of what happens. It's because of what Dr. Ravi admits and how it made us feel. In The Pit, Dr. Ravi is the guy holding everything together. But now he's finally broke. And when he says he doesn't want to be here anymore, it's different for fans and people that are new to the show alike. Because this isn't some villain. This is the caretaker, the one everyone leans on. And we've watched him all season just grin and bear it. And you've seen the facial tics and just the pain underneath. Who can't relate to that right now in the world we live in currently? Whether it's a show or not, we know that our doctors and our healthcare providers are in pain just like this. They're trying to help others, and they're doing it from deep in their hearts and what they care about. But things just get worse and worse, and there's a lot of people out there barely holding it together, smiling, showing up, doing the job, while just quietly drowning underneath it all. And I don't know if you felt that. I really felt that. And this character on TV saying it out loud just said what so many people are afraid to admit currently. And that honesty, that uncomfortable, raw, real moment, it hit. And simply because sometimes the strongest person in the room is the one hurting the most. I'm not sure.
So that's by a user on Instagram, Michael Rothman.
Mm-hmm.
feedback.
Well, I have to say that I think it's funny that it is the show is called The Pit. It's not called like The Elevation. It's not called like, nothing. There's nothing like it's a pit. And I get what it's from, but I mean it can be a pit, sure. Healthcare burnout is a real thing.
You guys, I mean, I hear it from you.
It's a very serious thing, and only recently is it being addressed. But I feel that it isn't being addressed effectively, and it's because it's driven by corporate, or it's driven by profit, and not necessarily profit for the physician. It's profit by insurance and corporate and whatever, and it's driven by that.
Mm.
You have to squeeze as much as you can out of your physician. Like when you can hire, if you had like a staff of 10 physicians and you pay them X amount of money, well, why don't we just get by with 7 of them and then make the other 7 do the work of, 1.5 physicians or something? That's just how it goes. Just like any other industry, I imagine. I don't think it's just that there's more immediate life or death things sometimes.
Yeah. Dr. Ray?
Yeah, it's it definitely hits home, I think, to a lot of doctors, because I think a lot of us feel kind of the same way, but you just sort of, push through, like Dr. Foz said, she's so sick, but she's pushing through and everything. But, burnout's really, really real, and a lot of people are not understanding, and a lot of people are just don't think we're humans, so to speak. So
I encourage all the doctors out there to attend their conventions, their seminars, or get away.
Well, the thing is I think one of the misconceptions of where things are is that there's many things, I guess. One of them is that what happens on the behind the scenes when you come in to see a doctor. So like you come in, you have a complaint. I have to figure out what the heck you're talking about. And then sometimes it seems like it would be simple, right? I mean, the average intelligent human would say, like, well, you come in and you say you have, I don't know, arm pain or something, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so what's causing your arm pain? It's my job to figure out what's causing the arm pain. So I have to determine, is it something that's going to kill you or disable you first, right? Because your arm pain could be a heart attack. You could be having a heart attack. Your arm pain can be referred pain from your gallbladder, and you have to go to surgery to have your gallbladder taken out. Your arm pain can be a sign of a serious neurologic disorder. Sorry, Auntie, I didn't mean to scare you. It could be, your arm pain can be a neurologic problem. You have multiple sclerosis. Your arm pain can be a pinched nerve in the neck. Your arm pain might be something as simple as tendinitis, or you bruised it, or you're overusing it carrying your newborn baby or something like that, right? So there's a million things that it could be. So it's my job in like a 15-minute period, which means by the time that, because you got to your appointment late and then you had to pee and the MA had to put you in the room. And so by the time I get to you, I have like 7 minutes to figure out, is this something serious? And then you'd think, once again, the average person's like, oh, we just ask me questions, I'll answer them. If you have had arm pain for 7 years, that's a lot different than if it started 7 days ago, right? And so how long have you had this arm pain? I can't tell you how often I have to ask people that multiple times, and I'll sometimes look them in the face and be like, sir, ma'am, whatever. I've asked you 3 times already how long you've had this arm pain. Can you just give me a rough estimate? Just a rough estimate. Days, years, months, minutes, something like that. Like, you would be surprised at how difficult it is to get very basic information out of people. And I'm not talking about people who have language issues or comprehension issues. I'm just talking about average Joes with like college degrees. And I have to be able to examine you, and I have to determine what I think is causing this problem. and how we're going to address it. And then I have to tell you how I'm going to do that. So it seems like that you have arm pain because I think it's your gallbladder. I'm concerned that this is not actually your arm, that it's being referred from something else.
Wow.
And so I'm going to do this to you, right? Like I'm going to need to do this test and this test, or I think it is your arm. And I think it's because you started playing tennis recently. And I think you have some tendonitis. I don't, based on your examination and history, I see no evidence of a severe systemic illness or something dangerous. And I think we should treat it with this or that or the other, and let's try this and physical therapy and blah, blah, blah. So I have to explain to you what we're going to do so you understand we're on the same page, because it's really easy for me to be like, yep, tendonitis, physical therapy, and walk away. But that doesn't lead to good outcomes, right? Because you already don't believe what I'm saying for reasons that I don't understand, right? And then now I tell you, and we're like, okay, we're going to send you to physical therapy, or I'm going to send you to an orthopedist, or I'm going to do this or whatever I'm going to do. And then you leave. Now I have more work to do. I have to write my note. I have to actually place the orders for what needs to happen. I have to communicate with my staff on what needs to happen. I ordered an x-ray or whatever. I sent you to physical therapy. Now I have the note from physical therapy, and I have to sign off on that. Right. And then I have to make sure that, now I'm getting phone calls from you saying, well, I didn't like that physical therapy place. I wanted you to send me here. I'm like, well, ma'am, you liked it before. Now you don't want to go here. Okay. Where would you like to go this time? And then I gave you a prescription for a muscle relaxant or something for your arm pain. Or I wrote for you to have a brace for your arm or whatever it is that you need. And now I'm dealing with the pharmacy. Right. And your insurance. And now you're mad because your insurance won't pay for your arm brace that cost $12. And now you're sending me mess like they won't cover it. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So it's not just what happens when you're in the room. It's like, it's this layer of stuff that happens after that. So that's what a lot of people don't really understand, that a lot of the burnout comes from that. It's so laborious.
Yeah, I was actually impressed that you guys, really pick up the phone and call each other. I mean, like, you have to pick up the phone to call the insurance company, call the patient, call.
Oh, yeah. You can't, I mean, you can message things but there's like, a lot of medicine actually, believe it or not, still happens on fax because, EHRs don't talk to each other and you have to worry about HIPAA. So there's issues with, secured messaging and all those things. Like you have to have the right tech in place to make sure that it's compliant with. So fax is actually in some ways what still has to happen in a lot of medicine, which is weird, right? Like 1991 called it wants its tech back.
Speaking of that, I have to share something, a little win that I experienced this week. I finally tried the Costco pharmacy locker. Has anyone tried that?
What's that?
So, the prescription goes to the pharmacy and, I'm a Costco member, so I go to rx.costco.com, who's our sponsor for next week. Kidding. You go to rx.costco.com and you basically set up an account. You tie it with your Costco membership. And so when your prescription is ready, I get a text. You get an email, but I get a text that it's ready and you could pay for it, with the link that they provide you. Click on the link, it takes you back to that website. You pay for it. And then I could select to pick it up from the locker. And the lockers are kind of like towards the front, so you don't have to go inside, too deep into Costco.
I've seen the lockers, but I didn't know they have them for prescriptions.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. And then they'll give you a code. Like, here's your code, like 5, 6,
It's like an Amazon locker pickup or any other locker pickup.
Exactly.
I think I'm sure there's certain restrictions, and probably depends on what state everybody's in, right? But I'm sure there's certain restrictions, like it has to be a medicine that you've had before, just a refill. I can't imagine they would do that for a new medication.
Probably. I mean, I don't know. You see behind the scenes, I don't know what happens behind the scenes, but actually there is so at Costco, there's 2 lockers. there's this like the generic lockers. I guess I don't know what it's for whatever. And the other one is called the pharmacy locker. The pharmacy locker has like an audio video screen that you could pick up and talk to the pharmacist if you have any questions. And that was pretty cool, but I was a little bit tense. I said,
Wait,
I'll be quick.
Did you say there's a phone?
Yeah, there's like a phone, like
I
a handheld phone and
I saw that, but I
camera.
didn't know that it was all. I didn't know pharmacy was involved. Well, there's certain laws in certain states. Handing the medicine to you, literally handing it to you, has to go through certain hands. And like where I used to work, if I had medication in the office that I was going to hand to the patient, the medical assistant cannot do that. Like it has to be a registered nurse or hired, physically hand it to the patient. So like the MA could be standing there holding it. I have to take it from the MA and I have to hand it to the patient.
Oh, wow.
That's dispensing, right? So and then the other thing is there's requirements in some states. It's different everywhere, that the pharmacy has to consult with you on medications, especially if they're new, but that can be waived. Like when I go pick up stuff, they're like, do you want to talk to the pharmacy? I'm like, no, I'm good. They're okay. And then they'll be like, oh, it's waived or whatever. So, I'm sure this is probably, one of those things where it's probably not likely new medications. It's stuff that you've already been.
Probably just refills.
Like you're familiar. Yeah, like refills.
Yeah. Yeah. Dr. Ray, have you tried the Costco locker?
No, I've never heard of it until you just said it.
It was like
I don't think any of my patients have said anything either.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. The only thing was it took me a while because I'm confident that I have it in my email. I'll just go there, enter the code, and then I couldn't find it in my email. And it turns out not only was I using the regular locker, I had to go to the pharmacy locker, which is next to it. But it was on a text message. So I had to go to my text and go, oh, okay, there's a code. But so efficient. You don't have to line up. Just kind of, there's always a line to pick up your prescription.
Right, because you've got to talk to the pharmacist.
So it was kind of I said, okay, if this is the case, okay, I'll do more Costco. I
think that can make things move smoother. You can also say, well, that's cutting out healthcare jobs because now they may have had a stable of 9 technicians, 9 pharmacy techs to hand out meds. Now they only need 6.
Yeah, that's true. But, it's also my time. And then I don't want to go in there because I'm going to end up buying things. That's the key. Because then I'm going there. I'm like, oh, you know what? I need laundry soap. I need this.
I love Costco. No. I really do.
But and I know that Costco, you don't need to be a Costco member to use the pharmacy.
Right. You don't.
Right? You don't need to be a member. Right?
Yeah, you don't need to be a member, so you can use the pharmacy without being a member.
Yeah. So that's my little win.
Some of the perks though, like if you're cash pay and you're using like GoodRx or something, there's certain courtesies that'll be extended to Costco members if you don't have adequate insurance coverage, and that won't apply if you are not a member, from what I was told.
Got it.
I love Costco pharmacies.
Yeah, I did talk to them about like a medication I'm taking, and they said, it's because the lady I was talking to told me that because they're Costco, they get priority in medications. I'm like, oh, you guys are like, okay, whatever.
Group purchasing, if you're buying a lot, if you're the largest vendor, you're going to get preferential.
Now we're talking pharmacy. Why is it important for you doctors to have a relationship with pharmacists?
Well,
yeah.
I mean, there's way too many pharmacies to really have a relationship with a pharmacist, but anytime I have a question and call the pharmacist for that particular patient's particular pharmacy, the pharmacists are always very accommodating. So if I have a question about a dosage or coverage or something, then we usually call them. But we're both working together on the patient care team to get the patient the proper medication. So, you know, in the grand scheme of things, we're all working towards one common goal, which is to help this patient with their health issues. So I do think the pharmacists are part of that care team. And a lot of times, you know, I may prescribe a medication, but it's not covered. The pharmacist has to contact me to let me know that it's not covered. Or maybe I wrote a dosage that may not be the best for this particular patient, and they'll call me to just verify that that's the dosage that I wanted to give this patient. Sometimes they'll call and say, this medication interacts with another medication they're on. Can we change it to another medication? Or sometimes patients don't tell you, just like Dr. Foz was saying, sometimes it's very hard to get information from that patient. Sometimes patients will say to you that they have no allergies, but when they go to the pharmacy, then they tell them that they do have an allergy. And so then the pharmacist will call us back and say, she's allergic to this. And I would, you know, respond, okay, well, I don't have that in my records. I'll add it to my records and let's change the medication to another one. So pharmacists definitely are part of the whole healthcare team trying to get patients the right and accurate medication.
Totally. The pharmacist is a doctorate level healthcare professional. They're not just, you know, an assistant. They're not, you know, a salesperson. They are a doctorate level healthcare professional who wants what's best for their patients.
That is fascinating. You know, remember I told you that a guy I went to college who became a pharmacist, and Dr. Foz, you're like, oh, that's really great. You know, I want to talk to him. I'm like, why? I didn't realize that.
They know so much more about some of the details of medicines that I don't, you know, so like fine details and they're very helpful. Like whenever I've called pharmacists, they always try to, you know, sometimes we'll have complicated questions. They're like, we should do this, or how should I do this? And they're just, they really try hard. When I was in training, oh my gosh, the inpatient pharmacists are awesome. I would have never survived if it wasn't for them.
Wow. So you mentioned GoodRx. Is there kind of like a generic, you know, and I know it all depends on location, and I'm just being very like general, for patients, to select what pharmacy to go to, or does it matter? Like, let's talk
GoodRx.
Like GoodRx guides you on, tell me a little bit about GoodRx.
We are not sponsored by GoodRx.
We're not sponsored by GoodRx.
GoodRx is you know, I think of it as like a group purchasing power kind of thing. It is a program that doesn't really require any membership, but it allows people to get, in some cases, medications at a discounted price at the pharmacy once the prescription's been written. It's not a prescription. I think they have like a membership thing now. It's probably turning into like One Medical Online kind of stuff, like that sort of thing. You know, I don't honestly know. But the average person, if you have a medication that is not covered by your insurance, or if you're not insured and you have a prescription, if you you can check with GoodRx and see if they have like a better, like a cash pay price basically. And you can have significant savings on those medications. And I do recommend it to people who may not be able to get certain medications. The only thing to know is, from my understanding, is if you pay, like if it's something that your insurance won't cover, but you can then get it for, you know, let's say $100 or something, you know, either you get no coverage or you can get it through GoodRx for $100. You pay your $100 for your 3-month supply or whatever it is. That money that you pay does not go towards any deductibles to any insurance that you do have. So it's completely, it's like outside of your insurance 100%, but it can, you know, some people, I've had patients with a medication that is quite expensive or denied coverage with their insurance, but their cash pay price is something that they're willing to pay for on their own.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, I think there's a few other savings programs that are like that. That's the one I'm most familiar with.
Well, We have a studio audience here. Let me run over and Auntie.
Hi, thank you, everyone. Big fan, long time listener. Um, and, and I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of what Dr. Foz was saying. Good RX, to my knowledge, because I have people in my life who use it, especially a few years ago, back when Obamacare like just first came out and people were just first starting to get into like insurance or being insured. And this was actually, unfortunately, a lot of people in my family were not insured, but they had struggles with diabetes. And what GoodRx was able to do was actually help them to get insulin at very affordable prices when they weren't able to. So, but just like Dr. Foz said, it's not, like it can't write you a prescription. You have to already have that prescription, but it's almost like a coupon app, if you will. You can take it to the pharmacy and see if that pharmacy has, discount for that particular prescription.
Yeah, it's like a coupon plan or program or something.
Wow.
If they have, and you know what's interesting, in case anybody does use it, I learned about this many years ago. I used to work for a free clinic, and so I had a lot of patients who were not insured at all, and we had to rely on it a lot. Is a lot of times, like if I'm writing a prescription for something, let's say like Flonase nasal spray for allergies, right? If I write a prescription for one, I'm just throwing out random numbers as an example. It'll be $19, let's say, right? But if I write a prescription for 6, you get 6 of them, but each of them is only like $8 or something. So the quantity actually can make a difference. I know. And then,
Wow.
not always.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know what makes it work what way. And then it can vary a lot between pharmacies. So that's the other thing to do, is to check with it, and it may, I think it's great. I use it all the time myself.
Wow. Look at that. I'll have to make a phone call to GoodRx. Maybe they could sponsor us.
I don't use it that much because I think, first of all, I don't prescribe a whole lot of medications, but I think the ones that I do are usually generally covered. But I don't use it very much. But I did switch to a new electronic medical record system, and I've shared that in the past of how difficult that challenge was and how painful it was. But the new system, when I prescribe medications, it has a pop-up that says like GoodRx can be applied. And at first I kind of just ignored it, but now I'll occasionally look at it and see if it does sort of help. I'm not entirely sure because I think most of the medications I give are covered by the insurance, but so I don't really look at it too much for those patients. But if I know I have a cash patient that I'm sending it to, then I'll look at the GoodRx to try and help them out.
It tends to not be quite as helpful for things that don't have a generic equivalent.
Right.
So like the GLP-1s, it's not going to help you. Like some of these more complex, like biologics, like Humira and Dupixent and all those things, that it's not probably going to help that much. But it does help with a lot of like, bread and butter kind of medications for primary care.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that. I thought GoodRx was like Gas Buddy. It just tells you which pharmacy carries.
No, and and it varies too. Like one day it'll be this and the next day it'll be that. And it's like, okay, what?
Got it. And have you had any experience between efficiency with pharmacy? So let's say Costco, CVS, Walgreens.
Oh my gosh. I am battle scarred from what happened during COVID, right? So the COVID pandemic really had a huge effect on that because everything had to be done remotely. People were afraid to go into the pharmacy. The pharmacists were also scared because they're having to actually face the patients face to face, I remember having to chase down things like Paxlovid when it first came on the market. Like when it was first available, there are people who want it, they need it. I'm sick, I'm going to die of COVID or whatever they're saying. And I remember I was given a list of CVS pharmacies in my area. Like, here's a list of 53 different pharmacies. So call each one to figure out where the Paxlovid is so you can determine how to transmit the prescription. Yeah, it was really bad. I think pharmacists really have a lot of burnout. A lot of pharmacists are, pharmacies are run by people who are not pharmacists. That's like, infer from that what you will. So they are stressed. They're doing the same things to them that they do to all of us. Instead of having 10 people to do the workload, let's do 7 or 6 or 5 and let's see what happens, And so I've been there watching them literally run around. I'm standing there in line, picking up prescription for my family members or something. I'm watching what's going on back there, and the pharmacist is running from this tech to the phone, back to this, and I'm just like, man, oh man,
Yeah.
I remember calling in one time for a prescription not that long ago regarding a patient, and the pharmacist was so super stressed, and he was like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I know, short staff. Yeah, we're just, it's only me today. And I basically had to counsel this guy, talk him off the ledge. I felt really bad, and so they're stressed. And, I think when it comes to once again, the pharmacist is a healthcare professional, doctorate level educated person. Technically, you should address them as doctor, whatever they are. And they are also there to make sure that you get the correct medicines dispensed to you and that you know how to use them correctly. And they have double checked them with your other prescriptions to make sure that there's no problems. They're there to answer questions on how to take it correctly and what to do if there's problems. And they're great. It's just that I think a lot of the problems come from the system for which they are. And, everybody uses big pharmacies, right? There's when you see a pharmacist, what do you think of now? Like CVS and Walgreens, Costco, and, your local large grocery chains. And, I feel that they are also really overworked, but they deserve appreciation, in my opinion. When it comes to other pharmacies, I think there are still, I have patients who still use some little tiny mom and pop kind of pharmacies, but all of those are kind of few and far between, and I think it depends on where you live.
Tell me about compounding pharmacies.
So compounding pharmacies will put together custom mixtures of medications. So not like what we're thinking, I want to mix I just feel like taking one pill for my blood pressure instead of 3 different ones. So I'm just going to have the compounding pharmacy mix it all together. That's not how that works. But if you have something that needs to be done,
oh my gosh, you almost got me excited. I'm like, if you do
I know it's not your choice as a patient. That's not how that works. But when your doctor needs something, one of my colleagues before used to be very much into topical testosterone, and this provider would have it compounded specially by some pharmacy somewhere far away. And so, because it met her exact specifications for whatever. So it's often for things that you can't easily get. Sometimes it's used a lot, I think, for chemotherapy kind of things or, other stuff. But it's not a patient's choice to get whatever they want mixed up that way, just so you know. That's not how that works.
Now, Dr. Ray, Dr. Foz mentioned about topical testosterone. There was a time when Oprah pushed this doctor that does for women, topical stuff, even testosterone or estrogen or whatever. Are they real? I mean, is that still kind of, tell me a little bit about that.
So those are what's called bioidentical hormones, and they're made by compounding pharmacies. They usually will take a saliva sample and kind of test what your hormone levels are, and then develop a cream, estrogen cream, testosterone cream, progesterone cream for you, and dispense it that way. It's not covered by insurance, so it's always cash pay, so it can be quite expensive. My patients will tell me it's about $200 to $300 a month for them to get their creams. And it's not FDA regulated, so when I talk to patients about their options for hormone replacement therapy, bioidentical hormones do come up, and we do talk about them, but I let the patients know that there's a caveat that these are not FDA approved, that it's just a pharmacist sitting in the back of the store mixing together the hormones, and there's no way to tell exactly how much hormone you're getting in the cream. It might be more, it might be less. There's no regulation of what they're doing, so you need to take it, with some caution. Some of my patients absolutely love it. They feel like new people on it. They love it. They don't mind paying for it. They have no complications or problems. Everything's great. Some of the patients say, it worked well, but they couldn't afford it. And other patients say, it didn't really work for them or they chose not to do it. So, compounding pharmacies, I think, have a place, but you just have to be very careful because everything that they formulate is, them making it on their own. It's sort of like, instead of going to a restaurant to order food where they have, OSHA standards and, public health and county health standards, versus a home kitchen, somebody who's selling food out of their home. You don't know exactly what's happening in their home, how clean their home is, but, the food might taste good and it might satisfy you. So it's the same sort of caveat that you need to apply to that. A lot of these compounding pharmacies, because of the weight loss craze, have started compounding the weight loss GLP-1s like the Wegovy's and whatnot. But I know in the doctor community, the doctors are not really big fans of the compounded versions of the GLP-1s. But I do think that they have their place.
Yeah, like the GLP-1 compounding thing kind of came up with, the rise of these medications really kind of coincided with the pandemic. And so that made everything extra difficult, right? And I remember very much earlier in the pandemic, I had patients who were on GLP-1s and they were not able to get refills because they were sold out everywhere because people were using it for weight loss and because it was so popular, right? I mean, honestly, you're diabetic, here's a med that can make you lose weight. People are going to be like, yeah. Like most people are going to want that. Or a lot of people want that, I would say. And
that'd be cool. Like, integrate it into a burger.
And so it was really difficult because these are meds that have to be titrated slowly to a certain dose. So once we go from dose A to dose B to dose C and you've done really well in dose C and now all of a sudden you can't get dose C and then now you're off of it because there's no dose A or dose B. Now what are we supposed to do? And now, a month later dose C becomes available. I can't put you back on it like that. Like it doesn't, I have to work your way back up. And it was because a lot of people were, just wanting to get it for weight loss. So it was really difficult. So there was access issues. And then of course, when they were all approved for weight loss. And so, compounded versions came out as kind of like, I think if I understand this correctly, it was like emergency authorizations by the FDA. So these molecules are all trademarked, right? So tirzepatide belongs to Eli Lilly. That's Mounjaro/Zepbound. That is their product. Nobody else can make it. It's illegal to do so because they trademark it. But because of issues with access, there was emergency authorizations that allowed the compounded use of it. And so that's where we had the rise of, the subscription, retail medicine, weight loss, online kind of things. And those can go on. But I believe that authorization was revoked not like sometime last year. And I think that also coincided with kind of like the GLP-1 receptor manufacturer or GLP-1 receptor agonist, blah, 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 they are.
It's over my head.
So long, right?
It's over my head.
I'm trying not to. They were trying to, they now, like, they started selling it directly to the public, realizing that, like, if I write somebody a prescription for Wegovy or for Zepbound, and your insurance won't pay that price of, $1,300 a month, $1,100 a month, whatever it is. They would, like, patients were still willing to cash pay, but they're not able to cash pay that much, but they'll pay $500 or $600 for it. So now you can get, if you have a doctor's prescription for it, it's not buying food online where you can just go and buy it. You have to have a prescription, but you can go directly to the pharmacies. So there's Lilly Direct, and I think also like Novo Nordisk pharmacies or something where you can have a cash pay price for these products. And so now that has made the prices more affordable, we're talking, maybe $400 a month, at your higher doses. Now that there's more partnerships with places like Hims and Hers and Ro and all that stuff. So I think we're seeing the phasing out of those compounded things. That's my understanding of it.
Wow. Well, all I know is they need to start using QR code in this prescription pill bottles because I cannot read. The text is too small.
I think you can ask for a larger text because they do that. I think
Really?
I want to say my mother's bottles have a larger text. So yeah, maybe just ask them.
Yeah, I don't know how like
You-
senior citizens can do it. You know?
Do you wear reading glasses? I don't remember.
No, I don't. I mean, I'll take a photo of it, put my
Do
phone.
you need reading glasses? Should you be wearing them?
That's what I'm
That's
thinking.
really the question.
Yeah, that might be the problem.
Boy.
Not the pharmacist labeling the bottles. It might be that you need reading glasses.
Boy, I mean, Auntie, help me out here.
But you have to say, this is not about me.
It's not about me.
We're making a diagnosis of presbyopia.
I know.
Mhm.
All three of my younger sisters wear glasses, but I do not.
You don't.
I don't need them. I can scroll on my phone. I don't have the large font. I can read a book. Yeah, I don't need them. But all three of my younger sisters wear reading glasses.
Wow. I've had to wear glasses since I was 9 years old.
Well, then you
And
need
this-
to put them on to read your prescriptions.
Yeah, I do have to put them on, but it's just like I'm just like it's small. I mean, like I don't understand how others.
But I
can-
think you can. I
reading
think you
glasses.
can ask to make larger font.
Magnifier. Do you have
Yeah,
a
I-
magnifying glass?
In fact, that was kind of even my gift. I have one in the kitchen, and my gift to my parents and my, it's a magnifying glass with a light. But I'll mark my medication. I'll Sharpie it 1, 2, 3 a.m. p.m. But that needs to be improved.
Well, you know what I used to love was a long time ago, Target used to have their own pharmacies. They then sold themselves that division to CVS,
Yeah.
as far as I know.
Yeah.
Target pharmacies had really cool bottles. They stood upside down on the cap, and the bottle was flat. So it wasn't round, it was like flat. And so then everything could be printed on the front and you could read it easier because it didn't have to wrap around the bottle.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought
Okay.
their bottles were awesome.
I have to look that up.
And they were red, which I was like, well, of course it's Target, right?
Target, right? Yeah, now it's CVS. And are they still CVS?
Yeah, Target inside CVS.
Still CVS.
Yeah.
The other way
That's
around.
what I go to. Yep.
CVS inside.
Sorry. See, it's Sunday morning. It's CVS inside of Target, yes.
Instead of Target.
Yeah,
Okay.
basically CVS bought out their pharmacy division to run it. So they maintained the pharmacies, but they were no longer owned and run by Target themselves. They farmed them out to CVS.
Wow. So we have a listener here that actually shared those bottles. Let me see. Let me put it up on the Jumbotron. But, and also there's like so much paperwork. What do you guys think?
Yeah, rules and regulations. Yeah, those are the bottles. And they had, like, you see those plastic rings? They had these rings on there so that they would change the colors so that you
Yeah.
would know, like, which family member had, you get the green ones and mine are the blue ones and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Wow. Well, someone
Yeah.
thought about this.
Yeah, because couples sharing a medicine cabinet in their bathroom and each of them have 3 or 4 medicines, you don't want somebody taking the wrong one. So one person's green, one person's blue.
And
Okay.
there's room on the back for stuff too,
Yeah.
Why
are people putting their prescription medication in the bathroom?
moist. It's too humid.
I think that's where builders have made your medicine cabinet. So they didn't make the medicine cabinet in the hallway. I think you wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you do your morning routine, and you open up the medicine cabinet, you pop out your morning medications, you take them. At nighttime, you do the same routine, and you take your nighttime medication. So I think that's the way that they envision people using them.
It's really not a good choice, though. It's too humid. So the moisture can affect the longevity of the medication. So ideally, medicines are stored in a drier environment in the dark, unless there's something that has to be refrigerated, of course.
Yeah.
And I don't want to drink the water from the bathroom.
Yeah. I think most people keep them there.
Oh, really?
In the bathroom.
Still.
I think. Yeah. Let me think. I mean, all of mine are in a drawer in my bathroom. Even like the Tylenol and the Advil and the Sudafed and all the OTC medicines are in the bathroom. I think my mom keeps it in her family room.
Yeah.
I don't think she keeps it in her room. But I mean, you have to be careful if you have children. You don't want to leave your medications around, right? So usually, the parents, master bathroom, children aren't hanging out in there, so they're keeping their medications in there. And then if you have animals or dogs like mine who love to grab everything and eat everything, I've left vitamins on the counter and he's eaten the whole bottle of vitamins, 100, calcium tablets, 100 vitamin D tablets, and he'll eat all of those, so we have to be very careful. I can't leave any medications downstairs, even though all my kids are adults and I know they're not going to, take, too much Tylenol or whatever, but I have a psycho dog that could eat it all. But other people with smaller children, that's how the ODs happen in a lot of these children. They look at, maybe they have antibiotics that are pink and the parent leaves them out and the kid will be like, oh, pink candy. And then they eat them all.
Wow. I have no
So you
kids.
have to keep your medications
away.
In a secure place. Yeah. So I do think that the, an adult's bathroom is probably the place that most people keep it.
And then there's the issue with controlled substances too. Like, they can be stolen.
Right.
That's funny because, I have no kids, so my medicine cabinet is like the second drawer from the bottom, where any kid can access.
Right. Yeah. So your house
don't come
is
to
not
my house. Yeah.
child-proof for sure. So don't want to do anything there. But, for these parents who have young kids, you have to be very careful. And, not even young kids, 8, 9, 10-year-olds, because they're watching stupid TikTok challenges about eating Tide Pods or whatever. You have to keep all of that stuff, away. So anything that a kid can grab and eat and take care of, you have to keep away. So you have to keep your medications in a secure location. So either in a high kitchen cabinet maybe, but usually, most mom and dad's bedrooms are sort of off limits to kids, and so that's the best place to keep it.
So I mean, we're talking prescription pills. Seems like that's what we're talking about this episode. How long can you keep your pain meds? Let's say, I had surgery 2 years ago, and I have all these Codone, whatever. How long can you keep
those? Those should be disposed of securely because they are potentially drugs of abuse. I would absolutely not want an animal or a child to get a hold of them either, because too much can kill you, in minutes, Those should be, some pharmacies have drop-off things where you can drop off prescription drugs that are no longer needed securely. In general, you should probably stick to what is on the label. If they're expired, they're expired, in general.
Wah, wah.
I mean, that's the politically correct and doctor recommendation. Yes. The real recommendation, I have a lot of expired meds that I'll just keep in the drawer, and if I need them, I'll take them. So,
antibiotic
toxicity. So,
okay.
Yeah, it may not, be as strong to work, but if I'm at home and somebody needs an antibiotic for something, and it's just quick for me to just give it to them. Or if I happen to see my box of Sudafed is expired and someone needs it, I'll give it to them. If it doesn't work, then I'll go buy something new.
This is where storage is important, right? If they're in the dark, out of humidity, they're going to last a little bit longer, be a little bit safer. The one thing, there is some antibiotics where that's an issue, particularly there is some evidence that doxycycline becomes a toxic compound when it's an antibiotic, when it's beyond its good date. So that's when I would be cautious about using significantly past its expiration date. I mean, if it's like a month, that's not going to do
What's the
anything.
consequence?
Toxicity of some sort. I don't really know because I don't really care. I don't recommend it.
I mean, like our parents
There's some
probably.
things, I'm going to say it. There's some things I just don't care to know. Like I'm over it. You know, it's like I can't know everything.
Yeah.
All I know, something bad can happen. I don't know. You could die.
Look it up.
Maybe you won't.
Ask
I don't
AI.
know. Like maybe not do it. It's like, well, what happens if I jump off of this roof without, you know, I don't know. You might die. You want to try it? Something bad is going to happen.
Come to me
We'll
if
do
something
it,
bad
okay?
happens. All right. So, yeah, because I wondered about that. I mean, I had surgery, 2 years ago, and I still have all those like high pain meds that I never really used. And I'm like, I keep this. I toss it out. Do I toss it out in the trash? I can't
Don't
flush it.
So I think you're supposed to put it in dirty kitty litter.
What?
Which don't have a cat. I know. And then that way it makes it, somebody's not going to eat it, right? Because people can, there's a street value to those. You could sell them for money.
Right? I'll just go to the street.
I think that's
I'm not saying you should. I'm saying you could.
That's my last.
That's
Worst
called-
comes to worst.
That's called
Yeah.
diversion.
I think that's maybe if you live somewhere where your trash is going to be looked through. But I think if you're generally in a suburban area where people don't rummage through your trash, I think it's probably fine. But you can bring expired meds back to the pharmacy. So you can, on your next
Absolutely.
Costco run,
Yeah.
just stop, bring your expired meds, swing by the CVS and just let them know these are expired meds. And you can sometimes bring them to your doctor's office too, because I've had that happen before. The patients come in with their expired meds. I just open it up and dump it into my Sharps container and then throw the bottle away. So
I don't get money back.
There's some potential environmental concerns with some of that, and that's why I don't recommend going in the trash. There is special handling for expired medications.
And don't
So,
flush it. Don't flush it.
Correct. And so
Yeah.
what I would do is take it in the intact bottle. I believe in your state, most pharmacies there have like large pharmacies will have like a collection box, and they're like secured things, and you can just place them in there. And the pharmacy has a service that comes around and
Disposes of them.
responsibly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, in my state, most of the people have an earthquake kit. What kind of medication can we keep in there? Or do we have to keep changing it?
You should think about having a pair of your eyeglasses in there.
Oh, I do. I'm not that blind, okay? I mean,
So definitely your eyeglasses.
I have one eye, I can only see the E, and then my other eye is 20/20. So I just have to close one eye.
That's a pretty large differential there.
I know.
You should probably have a small supply of any prescription medications that you could safely store outside of refrigeration. And you should also then be sure to double check and rotate those out regularly. Because it's easy to put something like that together and then be like 2 years later, be like, oh, oops.
Do I keep ibuprofen or Tylenol or Aleve?
I don't really see those as meds of emergency use.
Really? Like if I got hurt?
Yeah, but if it's that bad and it's a disaster situation, this is my opinion, right? If it's that bad, it's a disaster situation, and like you're really badly injured, I don't think NSAIDs nor Tylenol are going to do anything for you, nor are necessarily recommended.
Oh, really? Okay.
I would be more worried about things like, let's make sure your blood pressure is not 200 over 110. Let's make sure that sugars don't go to 600 because pharmacies are closed or not available and you don't have meds. And so that's the kind of thing.
Wow.
I think that what most people are getting, it's not about pain management. It's about preventing your serious medical problems from becoming wildly out of control in a crucial situation.
Well, so can a person ask their doctors for like extra prescription to put in their emergency kit?
I've never had anybody ask me that. I'd probably look
Right?
at them like they were bananas, and then your insurance may not pay for it. They'll be like, yeah, no, you get 90 days, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, the insurance won't. If you get like if you're supposed to refill it every 30 days, they're only going to refill it like every 30 days. So, I don't.
That's where GoodRx would come into play.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, you
Maybe
could buy a
that's where I'll
cash
put-
one.
Maybe that's where I'll put all my powerful pain relief.
Yeah.
On an earthquake, then I'll sell it. No, just kidding. I'm kidding.
I mean,
That's just a joke.
I think because most medications have, an expiration. So like, like insulin would probably be like one of the most important medications, but you can't stick that in an emergency box. You have to keep that.
Or like people with,
refrigerated.
what do you call it? Asthma.
Yeah.
Yes, they should have. That can be very bad. Yeah, see, we all need to become like these preppers, right? Where you have like this whole compound where you have a whole separate living quarter that's safe with all of our backup stuff in it.
Yeah. But I know a lot of them then have to go, I mean, you have to put in the work of going through a lot of it. Like even they'll put like canned food in there, but then canned food expires. So you can stock it all up, but then in like a year, 2 years.
Canned food expires?
Come on now.
Yes, it
Come on
does.
now.
Crap.
It takes a long time, but
I mean,
You have to
it'll be
maintain
like
it.
2 years or
Water?
whatever, but I mean,
Yeah.
if they set up their, they've been talking doomsday prep for 30, 40 years, whatever. So if they've set it up, then every like 2 years, they've got to take out all that canned food and replace it, and try and eat that canned food, I suppose. So same with medications, they're going to fill it up with medications and everything. So,
Yeah, I better have my
Even-
earthquake bag party.
even water, right? You have to swap out the water that you store for that. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not really good forever,
yeah.
But you know what doesn't is alcohol.
Well, I've always said in an emergency, just have a lot of alcohol and
Yeah.
cigarettes, and you could barter for anything that you might need.
That's what I have. I have vodka and cigarettes doesn't expire, right? I have because I bought one from Costco when Costco used to sell it.
Who are you
The
at?
big
What
cigarette.
do you have known me many, many years.
I know. Who?
Do I smoke? I have no idea.
No, but that's money. I'm gonna give some to
know what?
get on the helicopter.
I bet you if somebody's desperate enough, even if they're stale, they'll still smoke them. That's what I would guess.
Cigarettes
Yeah.
indeed go stale. Okay.
Yeah.
Auntie says. Yeah, and then an
Thank
earthquake,
you, Auntie
forget it.
Derek,
I'm
for
just lighting
clarifying
it
that
up.
for us.
Huh?
Cigarettes go stale. So what happens when they go stale? Do they just taste like really gross? I imagine they still burn, right? I mean,
Yep, that's absolutely right. It's just you can tell. Like I'm speaking as a former smoker. Yes, you can certainly tell when they have gone stale.
Yeah, but in a disaster, I'd be like,
Yeah, in a
okay.
disaster, you know what? I'll take what I can get, girl.
Yeah.
Give me that. How much? $25. Give it here.
We're all gonna smoke and have a bottle of vodka, little vodka bottle.
toilet paper, alcohol, ciggies. You could barter for anything.
You can barter for that. Whatever it takes to get on the plane.
Oh, you know what I would add to that, depending on what state you're on? Weed. If you had weed in there, like you could totally
Ooh.
barter for anything.
I better get that. Okay. Well, does anyone have a question before we end this interesting discussion?
Yes, just one. How does it feel to be so fabulous?
You should ask your own self.
I know.
Oh, thank you. Y'all heard a doctor said that. Y'all heard it, so it's true.
Leading
I don't
question.
know. Tell us what it's like, Auntie Derek.
You know what? It feels like I need some rest. 'Cause it's a lot.
All right. Let's see. Anything else?
You guys covered a lot of material.
We did, didn't we?
It's
Yeah.
just we have no topic. It's just like stream of consciousness.
I
It's
know.
basically just sitting at the dinner table with your doctor friends and just asking their silly questions.
Exactly. So unorganized.
We should set this up some time where we all have a requirement, even though this is all because we're all in wildly different locations. Like everybody has to have 2 tequila shots, then we do this.
Yeah.
or vodka
That's-
jello shots.
There has to be like a minimum alcohol intake, and then we'll turn the microphones
Well,
on.
that will have to be between doctors and friends after hours.
Ooh.
We'll make that podcast.
I don't know. My doctor's
That would be more fun.
instead of like brunch Sunday morning, I don't get up until like 30 minutes before the show.
Yeah.
Oh,
Between Doctors and Friends After Dark. Yeah.
they have this really good bottle of at Costco again, of what do you call it? Mimosa. That's a good one.
Yeah.
You know what? I had that. I freaking love it.
You like
Who
it?
doesn't drink out? Oh, well, you know what it is? I have to say, I lately, for reasons I can't, it's my MA. I'm obsessed with orange. So that's why
go.
it's so good, though. It's like the most fresh orange with a little bit of something in it.
There you go. Dr. Ray, you also had one, right? We're going to have like one of these episodes.
Yeah, I tried one. It was
We
good.
need
Yeah.
Drink a bottle each.
Between
Bottle each? I don't
There's
think
orange
bottle.
juice.
Between hammered Doctors and Friends. That's what it'll be called.
Exactly.
No, it's not. I don't even think there's alcohol in it. So that's it. And then one night we could have Midori sour.